to hear that.
No way.
Got it. All right, session 8. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Of all the circles of hell, one stands the most horrible, cruelest, and most vile. The 9th circle of hell is reserved for betrayers. However, there are stages of that betrayal. One may betray an organization, like the Dragontooth Raiders, or the Riders, or the Scalebeards. One may betray their family, run away, and claim themselves a victim. One may betray their friends and delve into the Underdark, heedless of their warnings and their pleas. And one may, most sadly, betray himself, herself, or as may be the case in this party, themselves. To turn one's back on a well-laid plan is one thing, a crime of passion another, but plotting against yourselves and your allies leads only to evil. It is time to form a party, one who trusts one another. No et tu brutes here, else ye be damned. And with that, we pick up where you guys are at a crossroads. Half the party looking to delve into the Underdark, the rest looking to scram out of here, no one having achieved the goal, which was to get the dragon egg.
So I'm feeling real attacked right now. Anybody else? Okay, yeah, ouch. But however, it's a fair point. Dungeon Master, if you could say is particularly where we left off.
Yes, so you are currently in this sort of like skylit room with Talum just having walked down back into the spiral staircase that led back into the dungeon that you guys had been delving through these last few sessions. But the rest of the party is still, except for I think Goal had followed Talum, the rest of you are still in this room with this kobold trap master who you'd followed up here and basically made a deal to not steal his dragon egg.
I'm sort of like staring at my scroll now, taking in the magical secrets that I've gotten. The Chimera infusion.
Yes.
And I'm a bit distracted, so I'm just gonna like continue as everyone starts to like leave. I'm gonna say, Telum, wait, one moment.
Do I hear him?
I would assume so. If you
I would like to yell it a
enough,
little louder to reach him.
Right. Then yes.
Okay. If I'm walking down the stairs, like through the hallway, I'm just gonna kind of like stop.
Telum, Oliver, what are we doing now? What is the plan?
Talum kind of like looks at Goal next to him and then looks at the rest of the party. Talum does not know. He does not care. Talum simply wants to find Cal. We came for this egg and now we leave.
I am also in favor of finding Callie.
I am not in the greatest condition to pursue this quarry. Perhaps we could leave and come back.
Talum's gonna like look at Goal, and then he's gonna look at Father T. Talum heard you say that Kali was being atoned, or maybe hurt. Every second we wait is a second that Kali is in pain. And Talum cannot bear to think of this.
Talum, I understand, but please, look at us. Look at yourself. We are all struggling greatly. I have no more resources, no potions, no magic tricks up my sleeves. It's not about passion. It's about logic. Think for a moment. And we can't possibly survive if we run into another problem.
Perhaps he's right. A little rest and recuperation would make us more formidable against any that would hurt Callie.
Talon looks like a little maybe like he wants to disagree, but then he like holds his hand up and it's like shaking a little bit, and he kind of just makes a fist, and then Talon agrees.
Our biggest problem is figuring out where we are going to go and what we are going to tell the people when we get there.
You are speaking of the drow or the kobolds?
The raiders, the riders, the scale beards, I don't know. I just fear that I'm not sure what our plan is from here out. Do we even have a plan? We have what we want, but we have to be safe.
Some things we just have to take one step at a time. And I think this may be one of those things. We don't have to worry about the scale beards or the raider. No, we do have to worry about. I forget which is which. But we don't have to worry about the people back there until we get back there. For now, we can concentrate on what we're doing here.
What are we doing
The scale
here?
beard trap master looks over to you like, what?
Yes, sorry, I confuse old brain and all.
Father,
Like,
what are we
rubs his-
doing here then?
I thought that's what this discussion was. What are we doing here? Once we establish that, we can establish what we are doing in the future.
Talon thinks we should find Callie, then decide whether we kill this one, break the egg, or take it back. Talon does not give a shit. We are all evil in Talon's mind.
We cannot do such things. Perhaps you were not bearing witness to the thing that we just did, but we negotiated for quite some time about how we will all leave this situation favorably, so we cannot just go and kill and ransack now. And as I mentioned before, we are not in the shape to do any of that.
Talon has spoken. You know what he wants. Tell me when you have made a decision. And I like turn, and I'm just gonna lean against the wall.
My hair, which is like sort of like greased back into the side, is like sort of like falling in front of my face because I'm just like stressed. I'm just gonna give it a little. All right. We can go get your Callie girl, and when we do, we will all go together. But we cannot go right now, as it is just plain suicidal. So shall we rest first?
This is good plan.
A rest is a good idea.
Okay.
So long as this one doesn't kill us in our sleep. And I point to the trapper guy.
He will not.
Don't worry, I trust him. And he will not break our trust, and I give him a stern look.
Yes. I couldn't kill you in your sleep if I tried.
Actually, you probably could, depending on the order of which you begin to murder, as we are all at various stages of weakness. So
I can set up traps, protect you through the night.
look,
Whatever you need.
we don't need any extra attention. We just sort of need this residence for a bit. After we will go pursue these other elves that you have had sort of come to your home and whatnot. So we have no more quarrel with you, and we appreciate everything you have given.
Yes, I would never attack you. It would endanger the egg.
Of course. And then I'm going to, like, as I sort of like start figuring out, getting settled down, I'm going to pull out my Steel Defender CT-7642, CT-7652, sorry. And I will be like, yes, I trust you. keep an eye on him. And then I'll like set him down, and he's gonna be the guard dog the whole time. And okay, so we will wait, right? All of us have a quick rest, and we'll be on our way.
You see, as you say this, immediately the trap master begins like going around and setting traps around the egg that look like alarms and things that would wake him if you would attempt to disturb it in the night.
I will keep force watch too. And I'm going to sit down and if there's a place for a fire, I'm going to try to build a fire initially. Nothing large, just big enough for me to cook on. And I'm going to pull out from my herbalism kit, I'm going to pull out a mortar and a pestle, and I'm going to start mixing together ingredients, kind of smashing it together. And I'm going to have some beakers and some water out. And I'm eventually going to mix it all together with water and cook it up for some more healing potions.
Okay, go ahead and roll. Say a nature check. Are you proficient with your herbalism kit?
Yes.
Okay, then with proficiency.
And tell Jacob I said, please shut up.
I don't think he heard you say it louder.
I said, Jacob, please shut up.
Hey, Steven's talking to you.
What?
I said, please shut up, Jacob.
Um,
I'm only kidding. Make sure he knows I'm kidding.
he knows you're kidding. What would I add for that? Medicine?
Nature, in this case.
Oh, but I get +5 with medicine. So then +0 gives me 10.
Very nice. Yeah, I would argue that medicine is using the healing potion and not making it, maybe.
I found
You don't see a lot of doctors inventing new medicines, as far as I'm aware. So with that, I will say that you are beginning to work with some of your ingredients. You start to notice that quite a few of the ingredients that you have are starting to like get stale and old, and some of the different things that you normally grind into a powder kind of become a little bit more sludgy. You do make one healing potion, but go ahead and put a question mark by it in your inventory because you're not sure how effective.
Okay. One real quick out of character comment. I learned something this week listening to YouTube. The quarter life of caffeine is 12 hours.
What? How can that be?
Can you believe that shit? That's in the body. So if you down a 300 milligram caffeine mega thing, by the time it's bedtime or 12 hours later, you still have like a really strong cup of tea in you.
Huh.
How messed up is that?
That's crazy.
That's odd.
But there's an epidemic of
can't be
people that
true.
have sleep apnea and sleep problems.
Yeah, makes sense.
This
But
was, if I can find it, I'll send it to you. It's a guy he deals with caffeine and sleep disorders and stuff like that. There's a doctor that said it.
All I'm
It seems
saying
crazy though.
is if that were true, if you drank a cup of coffee every day, you'd eventually hit, I mean, you're just continually stacking more caffeine inside of yourself. I guess maybe the rate at which you're removing it goes up as you get more caffeine in you. There's maybe some other aspects to it, but like, you know, if the half-life's longer than a day and you have a cup of coffee every single day, theoretically you could build up, you know, to like unhealthy levels of caffeine in your bloodstream. But I'm sure
This
that
is one source. So it's
Yeah.
the first time I heard it, but
I'm sure that the rate at which you get rid of caffeine is proportional, at least in some degree, to the amount of caffeine in your system. So it's probably not that cut and dried, but that is interesting. I would like to see the YouTube video.
Plus
if you
the
can send it.
tolerance
yeah,
you probably build up.
I'll find it.
That is interesting.
Anyway, the rest of you all bed down. Anyone else doing anything before you guys start the long rest here?
Yeah, I just thought I'd add an effect of, you know, I'm resting my head on Proteus's dry bones.
Yeah, it's not a great pillow, but at least Proteus seems happy to have the physical contact. And with that, you guys enjoy your.
Sorry, I was going to. I have a little bit of food left in my pack, that like dried fruit,
Mhm.
and if Goal made a fire, I'm gonna try to cook some of that.
Okay, easy enough. I mean, you can get some of it a little bit browned on each side. It's the sort of fruit that like you kind of cook it and then regret a little bit because you didn't cook it properly like they were at the camp. So it takes a lot of the flavor out of it and dries it out a little bit. You think that you kind of need a similar system where you have it laid on these like stones to really get the proper cook to it. But yeah, it's sustenance.
Talum is sorry if he has been angry with his friends. Does anyone need to eat? I have like 3 pieces of fruit, and I'm just gonna break it up into even parts. Father T.
I'm really irritated at my my potion making and my ingredients not panning out, but I'm gonna take a small piece of fruit.
Okay, that's serviceable. It's definitely better than the no dinner you had. So
I like offer it to everyone kind of openly. It's the last food I have.
As you come over to me, I am sketching down aggressively into my notebook here. And I go, I appreciate the sentiment, but not right now. I have a lot of work to do.
I'm gonna kneel next to Siegfried.
As you kneel, I'm going to have my notebook and I'm just gonna go and move away from you to try to hide the contents of the book from you.
Are there any like pictures?
Yeah, I'm actually sketching out something in the
Can I
book
see
as
what
we
he's drawing?
speak. And can I try to hide it from him?
yeah, go sleight of hand versus perception.
All right.
I see we're already taking my
Oh,
advice to heart.
baby. Sleight of hand is
I
plus
think I got
one.
less than an O baby.
Dirty 20.
Okay, yeah, he wins.
Okay. He seems like weirdly practiced at this, and whatever it is, it seems extremely personal to him. He like pulls it away before you see much of anything. I mean, it's clear that there are illustrations as well as words, but also it looks like the words might be written in a language you don't understand anyway.
Yeah.
Don't look at my notebook.
Kind of like
Ever. For any reason.
you do not need to hide your words from Talum. I cannot understand them many ways. You should take this food.
They're in like lips.
These words are not just mine to hide.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that it's very personal.
As you guys are having this conversation, you notice that Father T has laid out. It almost looks like a small like bento box. It's got like some rice and some nice dried fruits and veggies. A little bit of like lean pork that looks like it's like kind of dried. He's just kind of like eating at. Looks happy.
What do you think of this dragon egg? What do you mean to do with it? What do you think is the right choice?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking Siegfried.
Oh,
But if you're within earshot and you hear, then
am I within earshot?
If you'd like to be, sure.
I guess I'll pipe up.
so long as the trap master isn't like within earshot, I would try to hide it from him. This conversation.
He's like working hard on traps around the egg to make sure you guys don't steal it.
Well, I think it's pretty simple. I say, not understanding that you're not talking to me. We made a deal in exchange for leaving the egg. He's followed through on his end of the deal, and now we must follow through on our end of the deal. We had our doubts about the moral implications of taking this egg in the first place anyways, and although I don't necessarily feel comfortable leaving it here, I am a man of my word.
Bro, oh my.
Yes, we happen to have made a deal. The egg is no longer relevant. It's just the consequences of not getting this egg that we need to worry about. What we are going to say to the riders and whatnot.
Talum agrees. He is man of word too. And like he said, they are both shit. Raiders, riders. Talum does not care. I will follow your decision, and I appreciate you coming with me to find Kali. It means a lot to Talum.
Yes, it was not my priority, but I suppose we're here and I got what I wanted, so
Talum thinks maybe he is not best at speaking clearly. But perhaps you two could get more information from this one. Maybe he knows where this Kelly is at.
I have questioned him thoroughly, and I do not believe he knows such a thing.
That's right, I forgot you asked.
However, I have been told I am not great with people, so perhaps I missed something.
Get your rest. And I go back to like the fire.
No time, and I go back to my book.
I'm gonna go sleep.
And then I have things I want to go about during my long rest as well.
Yep.
I want to
That sounds
sketch
sketchy.
out a I have an idea for a projectile weapon I would like to use. I will carve it out of the wood bed frame that I have torn apart and stolen, and I'm going to try to like push together out of that. I'm going to carve what is essentially a rifle, but I have the idea to connect it like with like a proton pack looking thing, and I want to like shoot energy out of it, or perhaps some sort of like fire or some sort of like energy of some kind out of it, so I can have a more reliable ranged weapon in combat. So anyways, I'm writing down basically an energy based rifle into my book, and as I sketch it out, I will also want to carve the wood to do so with my wood carving tools.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a dexterity check and intelligence check, both using your proficiency modifier.
Okay, so it's going to be 19.
Okay, 19. And the intelligence?
Oh, sorry. So I put both together. I thought you meant add your and
No.
then your proficiency. Sorry, my bad. So the dexterity is going to be a 13. Intelligence is going to be even better with a 17.
Okay. Yeah, you think that you've developed a decent design for something that essentially you would wear what amounts to a jug of semi-miscible liquids that upon basically using this mixing nozzle that goes into the actual rifling, these two liquids would be thoroughly mixed, and they would produce a burning sort of acidic effect. Though you have not completely created the device yet. As you're about halfway through the whittling of the actual wood, the design takes you quite a bit of time, and you fall asleep.
I'm going to
Collapse
show.
from exhaustion.
I'm going to show interest kind of to that point. I imagine Dr. Siegfried is not a strong man, and something like chiseling, whittling, carving actually takes quite a bit of strength, hand and forearm strength.
Oh yeah.
And if he seems to be struggling at all, and as he's starting this device, I'm going to show interest before I bed down, and I'm going to come over and inquire. What are you carving? What are you doing there with the wood? Looks interesting.
It's an invention that I recently thought of. You know how when you are in combat, you tend to slash at things with your sword and punch things.
Indeed.
Yes, I have not that same ability, so I would like a device in which I can hide on my own in the back lines and shoot at people. But the bow and arrow seems a bit clumsy for me, so I want to use this weaponry. Something I concocted.
Well, wood carving is a particular interest of mine. I would be happy to help from a growth standpoint of the initial shaping of the device, if it would help. If not, I could offer intricate markings if you have interest in such a thing, but I don't want to pry.
This notebook does not just house my schematics. It also has loads of notes from Ileana, who you are all familiar with for a couple of days. Not only on my first day here did you provide me with your coat, Ileana has also spoken out of all of you people the most highly. So I know you are a good man. So I mean truly no offense when I say this. But no, I would not like your help. It's nothing personal. But
Well, that's none taken. No offense taken.
I may need it
Uh,
later. So if the offer still stands at a different date, I'll let you know. However, right now I am good on my own.
Indeed. The offer is open. And I'm gonna go sit down and relax. And part of my relaxation is to play my wood flute very softly but very relaxingly to the enjoyment of anyone that hears.
I'm gonna
Roll a
fall asleep
performance
quicker.
check.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe this is something I've grown used to hearing in my travels with gold. And when I see it,
What's my modifier for my wood flute that I'm proficient in?
So it would be a performance check plus proficiency.
15.
15?
We're taking a long rest, right?
Yes, sir.
Then I'm gonna burn like my last spell slot on a bless just to give you that extra bonus to your performance.
Okay.
Actually,
add a D4.
Can I do
I
a
don't-
sleight of hand to like conceal it too?
Actually, bless would not affect this since it's not an attacker saving throw.
I don't have a
Guidance?
modifier for performance, but my proficiency
Guidance.
bonus is +2. Does that mean I get that if I'm proficient in the?
Yep.
And do I roll with advantage?
No, just add the proficiency.
I'm gonna cast guidance instead, which will give him advantage.
Okay. In that case, roll with advantage.
That didn't change it. So 17.
17. So yeah, I mean, it's really good. Like, I mean, you consider yourself pretty good at playing it, and even in your tired state, I mean, it's hard to believe, but earlier today you jumped across a lava pit and back, and there's just been a lot going on today. So even with all that draining you, it's almost I guess it's certainly cathartic to you, but it's also like a way to stop thinking about everything else and just sort of like let it go as you drift off into sleep. And it's funny. It's like as you're playing, you're actually like playing yourself to sleep. It's nice. You even start to hear snores from the trap center.
You read my mind, and I'm gonna say anybody here that's ever played a musical instrument knows that sometimes it's hard to play efficiently and well and quietly at the same time. Which I do in this case, since I rolled well. I'm able to play beautiful tones without, providing as much air into the flute, and it still sounds good.
Nice. All right. Well, with that, I think we finally get ourselves to the long rest, and you all find yourself well rested the next morning, though some of you troubled with your dreams of Drider and Dragonborn and God only knows what else. But throughout the night, eventually morning takes you. Although it's hard to tell what exact time it is when you finally open your eyes and you see what it might be a midday sun overhead.
my friends, we should rise. We've slept too long. I'm gonna like put all my gear and shit on. Any gear I've taken off.
We're still level 3, right? We wake up level 3.
Yes, sir.
Just to check. I can't help it.
Yeah, it's just one more session where you don't level up. I mean, every time you
I
ask.
know.
He
I'm
did it
too.
in my campaign all the time too.
Hey man, my American honey is making me bold.
Where's the trap guy?
When you wake up, you do not see him. You do see a number of traps laid around the egg. It appears that he must have woken up earlier and set more traps.
I'm like kick Aiken's foot. Wake up.
I shoot awake. Like,
Yeah, you see like Aiken like grabs an arrow before like, realizing where he is, what's going on, almost like instinctually.
You ever killed drow before?
Probably.
Perhaps today you kill more. Maybe not. Talon is not sure.
Yeah, anyone listening, you think probably is a pretty bold way to answer that question.
I get up and, get my bow ready and I whistle Proteus up.
Oh, we're going to be killing drow today? I'm excited. It's me, your old friend Ileana. Hi, everybody.
Wait,
Oh my god, our bipolar genius.
is Ileana in the same like spot where Siegfried fell asleep?
I mean, roughly.
So
I'm sorry, not bipolar, multiple personality
split
disorder.
personality, yeah.
Oh, you wish it was just that.
He's got that did.
I heard my good friend Dr. Siegfried came and escorted you a bit. But I'm back and he's left me his notes. So I will pick up right back where we started.
I'm gonna walk over to Ileana. Are you like standing, laying down?
Yep,
Like,
I'm up for the day. I am putting the things given to me from last night by Siegfried into my bag.
Yeah, you can tell just like the way she stands is like totally different. Though she wears the exact same clothing, it seems to like fit her better, even though it may have initially been made for him. It fits her more naturally. She seems to have like comfort in her own body and just walks with confidence. It's a whole different person.
I'm
I'd like to
actually like
smell
wearing as Dr. Siegfried, I was wearing the oversized leather jacket I got from the writers, and now it fits.
Mhm.
I'd like to smell Ileana
Okay.
to determine if like Dr. Siegfried is the same person.
Garrick, would you say that you smell the same?
I would say I smell eerily similar.
Yeah, I think so too. You smells pretty similar.
I'm going to give you some scratches behind the ear as you lean in.
I guess I will say it definitely smells like this one's a woman, but outside of that, they smell very similar.
Okay. Talon does not know if you are a witch, a warlock, some type of shift shaper.
Talon.
Talon does not know. I'm gonna grab Ileana firmly by the arm, kind of squeeze. But Talon is glad that you are back, Ileana. We go find Callie.
As you're like holding me, slowly from out of frame, the alchemy jug with the gallons of beer inside rises up to your face.
Wait,
Talon
so
is glad.
this looks like Ileana too.
Oh yeah.
So when we wake up, so it's a shape-shifting multiple personality disorder person. I forgot.
Yeah, it's straight up Ileana.
Yeah.
I'm gonna when the jug appears, Talon's gonna like grab Ileana and just bear hug her.
Oh, and I'm like hug you again. I'm like, I'm so glad you've taken a liking to me.
Perhaps Ileana would like to tell us at some point what the hell is going on. Perhaps not now, but if Talon knows what is happening, you know they know. Talon will ask no further questions. And I'm gonna grab the jug and like walk over to the goal.
So I'm gonna say that when I first rose and perhaps maybe minutes, if not like 10 minutes before everybody else, I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna do some martial arts katas and stretches kind of wrapped into one. Kind of, Bloodsport, the movie Bloodsport type of situation going on here where I'm doing like this massive overextending splits and shit like that. And I'm gonna finish up all that. So whenever you have your little hug and talk, and then you take the big jug of beer I'm just gonna walk up with my little wooden mug that I have and
Is there
Hold on,
ale in it?
There is, I don't know how many gallons of beer, but there are gallons of beer.
Yeah, I'll fill his wagon and mine as
Call.
well.
Before you drink and become, in a different state of mind, can I ask you something?
sure.
You have an interest in calligraphy and handwriting and such, correct?
I set the beer down. Oh, yes, indeed.
I'm gonna pull out my sheet the page that I found the other day with like the handwritten scrawls in the ledger about the gods being trapped and everything and the spires and all of that.
Yes, I remember the natural 20.
Natural 20 and the 100 out of 100 on the D100.
That's right.
I'm gonna gingerly set it down in front of him. You may not be able to actually read this, but looking at the handwriting in the ledger, is there anything you can tell me about what sort of person may have written this?
I'm gonna very anxiously, excitedly look at it and examine it.
Do be careful. It is the only one of its kind, and although I have copied the notes to my book, this is the original.
So the way of the brush gives me proficiency in my choice of calligrapher supplies, which is what I chose over painter supplies.
Mhm.
So I think that's really over the equipment more so than the smell smoke or something. Oh dear. Joe Lynn must be burning some cookies. That's probably what it is. If I was to try to decipher what this came from, what type of a roll would that be?
I would say just roll a d20 plus your proficiency plus history.
Okay. 14.
What language is this written in?
That is a great question, and let me see if I can figure that out. It might be common, but I don't remember. It's something that I can read. So
can
it
you
is Common, Elvish, Orcish, Dwarven.
I speak Common, Elvish, and Tabaxi.
It is from a page of Gods of the Pantheon. So since the title was written in
Yeah,
Common,
it's in common. Because I know who wrote it. Yes, it's in common. Definitely in common. So you can definitely read it. With you said you got a 14?
Yeah.
Okay. Looking at it, it's written elegantly, but with some haste. It seemed like whoever was writing this, I guess the most adequate way to say it is that they didn't have a lot of time or weren't that focused on making their handwriting look good, but it still had the writing style of someone who is well taught, like well learned. Definitely not someone who learned how to write on the streets. I mean, this is someone who was formally trained and definitely has the hand of a scholar. But at the same time, it is hurried, though maybe not rushed. It doesn't look like this person was dying when they wrote it, but they were probably trying to get on to some other books as well. Besides that, it looks to be written in a hand that is reminiscent of the Third Age, though some aspects of it do remind you of some newer age things in the calligraphy arts. So maybe someone who was alive in both the Third and Fourth Ages. That's about as much as you can garner.
and this is the Fourth Age, right?
Yes.
Just okay.
I'm looking at it, reading, and kind of studying the type of writing more so than I am the words, but I'm considering the words as well. And I'm like, yes. Well, this text looks to be old. How far into the Fourth Age are we?
1 second. um. It's like it's like depends kind of how you find the beginning of the fourth age, but like the cataclysmic events that spawned the fourth age were 2,000 years ago. So depending on when you, but like Jorkost was not a thing until like 600 years after that. So the third age ended 2,000 years ago, but I would say that the fourth age didn't truly begin until 600 years after that, so 1,400 years ago.
Okay. This is definitely old parchment. I would say turn of the fourth age, judging by the handwriting, calligraphy style, and content, and the look of the paper. It's old, especially by our standards, and I'm looking at him human to human. I think Father T is human.
Half open, but yeah.
Oh, that changes things a little bit. If I can't tell, then I'm going to speak to you as though I think you're human.
Oh, you can tell by looking at him. I mean,
Oh, well, by my standards, this is supremely old. At least 1,500 years old. Probably closer to 17 to 1,800 years old. It's amazing the paper has survived this long, but it is unique, but not overly impressive in its handwriting.
It's interesting. This is a rather old text, having been buried down here for quite some time, but it has the writing in the ledgers. I'm not a calligraphy expert, but the content of it seems more recent than the actual book.
definitely.
Indeed.
Significantly, you think?
There is a little contrast where that comes from. Leaves a little bit of wonderment, you might say, but it is still definitely old.
Do you think it's possible that the author of these notes could still be alive?
Depending upon race, yes. Not anyone of my kind.
Doubtful one of mine either, so let's hope it's neither of those. Thank you, Gore. You've been extremely helpful. That's exactly what I needed. I will gingerly pick up the book again and gingerly close it and wrap it in like old clothes and stuff and put it back in my bag.
Yeah, I'll say, judging by some of your history, Father T, you are not aware of very many people who have survived that long, partially because it's a long ass time, but also partially because the world was like almost inhospitable that long ago, you know? So like the people who survived, they went through some harsh times, and most of them, you know, had to like flee or live underground in these caves, like I've sort of described before. But you'd be very surprised if whoever wrote this is alive.
But the notes in it talk specifically about harnessing the orb of Xenopus, which I think I know had to do with the actual raising of the cities and everything, right? Or am I
Correct.
just so? Yeah, so I think Father T is drawing the conclusion that since it was clearly written post Rising of Cities, that this person would have at least lived to see the world become a more hospitable place, and hopefully for Father T is still alive. So that's where Father T's head is at.
Yeah. That's fair. He definitely knows that much, but never know.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying he is alive. I'm just saying Father T thinks he's alive.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I suppose we have a job to do. A lady to save, perhaps. Right, and I'm gonna give a little elbow to the ribs to Taylum.
How
sound
do
like-
you know that? This is all very confusing, you know.
I know it's must.
Ah, yes. Dr. Siegfried did speak of the book, and amazingly, you wrote well of Talum and I, though I don't remember being particularly nice to you.
You mean he showed you this?
No, he spoke more of it, but I have to say, with what I've seen and what I saw, it's thoughtful of you and very patient. I appreciate that in anyone, let alone a lady.
Well, you all were not the most patient bunch with me. I didn't take it personally, and now here we are.
Talum like hits Liliana on the arm and says, "Our patience is running thin. Let us go." And I like kind of hurry down the stairs.
We have to find Callie. And I'm gonna sort of stand there by the stairs and like motion for people to go down, waiting.
I'm gonna quickly, hastily follow Talum.
Okay.
Logan, I guess basically it looks like the Underdark is mostly south of this big castle-y thing on the map.
Yes.
So I'd like to go back through the rooms we went through to the big curvature that on the most eastern side
Yeah.
and just go straight south. Does it look like, I wonder if that falls into lava though, through that door, like I just want to go straight south basically to where the building kind of collapses and then you're in Underdark, if that makes sense. See if there's a way into the Underdark there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can do that. I mean, it doesn't go into lava or anything. It seems,
Okay.
it's a significant drop, but nothing too dangerous, I guess.
Okay. And as we approach that, I definitely want to stealth if there's any sign of anybody around.
Okay, easy enough to do. You guys, try and keep your distance, try and keep quiet, but you don't run into any issues on the way to the Underdark.
As Father T himself walks past me, I'm gonna give him a very simple father.
Doctor.
And then I'm gonna walk behind him.
That was
Okay.
Gold's version of shape shifting.
Nice.
All right. You find your way into the entrance to the Underdark here. How do you guys lower yourself down?
Aiken. Does Aiken still have those pythons? The metal with the hammers.
I scrounge around in my backpack and yeah, I've only got about 8 left.
How far down is it?
It looks to be around 45, 50 feet.
I think I have. I mean, we definitely had that much rope before when he made the jump over the lava bridge. I know we ripped 10 feet off at some point. Somehow we like lost 10 feet of rope.
Yeah.
But anyways, definitely gonna, with anyone's help, try to fasten the rope to the stonework and maybe have somebody. In fact, I can hold it as other people go down as like a plan B safety measure in case the pythons get loose.
Okay. I'll say it's easy enough. You guys are able to maneuver with your rope, though you are going to lose this rope if you don't have a plan of retrieving it. So like 50 feet of rope gone.
I can cross that off my inventory.
Okay,
Anthony.
please do.
I'll just leave it there in case we need to come back, I guess.
Yeah, it's there. You guys make your way back down into the depths of the Underdark. Already kind of tired having walked down that extremely long spiral staircase and then do this climb down into the Underdark below. But it's kind of nicely cooler down here. You get a little bit further away from the lava, and some of this sort of natural cave underground feel hits you. You hear like the gentle sounds of running water off in the distance, and you start to see this sort of exotic plant life with these large fungi growth, some of them having like a slight glow to them and giving off these same spores that you'd encountered when you first entered this area.
Is it very dark down there?
Oh, yes.
Talon can see well in the dark, but he is not so sure of you. He like looks to everyone. I don't know.
I cannot.
My old eyes can see just as well in the dark as in the light.
Not just well, you can only see like 60 feet. In
Well-
the light, you can see really far.
Well, you know, I have old man eyes.
His
My
old
vision's
eyes,
not
yeah.
very great either way.
You
Right.
can only see 60 feet in the day. Oh my god.
Maybe my vision is better in the dark than it is.
Oh, Jesus.
I need like bifocals.
You can't see across the room.
Picture Father T with sunglasses on now whenever we're outside. 'Cause the sun's too bright.
Whoa, that's bright.
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh, my glaucoma.
Does anyone have any sort of? Oh, I got the bioluminescent beaker that'll light up in a little bit for me at least.
Yeah.
I put my mask on too. That cloth that I had, that like kitchen towel. I'm just gonna like make a makeshift thing. as
Yeah.
well.
You immediately start seeing like the spores like stick to it once again. Like,
I will do
Pretty
that
interesting.
too.
okay.
Forgot about that. I got a little cowboy looking bandana thing. I'm just gonna pull up.
All right. Easy enough. You see before you what appear to be numerous interconnected tunnels. You aren't exactly sure which one might lead to the direction you want to go. Is there any particular direction you guys are headed?
Which way did the Drider go again?
So the dryer that you met initially was pretty far from here, but she didn't go really far. She was sort of like in the same sort of area right around there. There were two drow that you saw during your encounter that you had sort of in the Underdark that just sort of walked off when you were killing the Scalebeards. And they went down a pathway that looked like it may be a bit more promising. You don't know.
I vote we go that way.
Okay. So starting to head back towards like the southwestern portion of the dungeon here.
I think so. Yeah, in the direction we saw the other Driders go. Yeah, I think that's smart. So we don't just get lost and
Okay.
eaten by myconids or something.
Easy enough. I will say even like finding your way to that corridor is a little bit tricky in these sort of like interconnected tunnel systems, everything being pretty dark and looking all the same in every direction. So whoever's leading, go ahead and roll me a survival check.
Hey, Loom, that's
I
probably
assume-
you.
I assume I'm in the front, but I was also going to ask Aiken, can you see in the dark, Tony?
No.
Just kidding. You're not with me. Oh, no, guys. You said survival. Okay, that's a 9 total.
Okay, a 9. You spend a good couple of hours going through, weaving through these random tunnels, sometimes like getting to a point where we'll just come to a dead end and you'll think back to like the last turn you made and it was 20-30 minutes ago and having to trot back that way and take the other path, and it takes at least a couple of hours, but eventually you do find the location with all the debris that had fallen from apparently the broken bridge up above, and you recognize it. All of you sort of let out a sigh of relief. Getting a little bit tired already from the day of just wandering aimlessly through these tunnels.
My steel defender has dark vision.
Okay.
Could he have aided him in that?
And now that you reach this place, you think it may be a good idea to have him begin helping, but you had not helped so far.
I'm gonna let him out of the bag and I'm gonna go, okay, Mac, get up there up front and help him out. And he's gonna be like, and he's gonna be he's a little happier with Ileana. She has named him and they're a little closer, but he's gonna waddle up front next to you, Taylor.
Are we able to see any tracks like the Drider tracks or just Drow tracks? I guess.
Yeah, roll a survival check.
I see. That's better. 18.
18. Yeah, it's pretty clear down here. This ground is a bit spongy, and it almost has the consistency of like a really wet mud. So you can see not well-defined tracks, but definitely a pathway that looks to be two individuals that your guests were the two drow that you'd seen here.
Talum and the small robot thing have found the tracks. Follow. I'm just gonna follow the tracks.
Okay, so you start making your way that direction. All right.
Stealthing.
It's pretty immediate that as you follow these tracks, a couple of quick turns, and you find yourself on an elevated platform that opens up onto basically a wooden ramp that slowly descends around a huge cavernous area that opens up into what must be miles and miles of caves surrounding what is an intact city, unlike any you've ever seen, except for if you've been to one of the cities of Jorkas. Looking down, you see hundreds of spires and pillars and buildings, all interconnected, made by the same green and purple glowing stones. They give off just enough light to be useful for someone with dark vision, but pretty much useless for someone without it. You see as it sprawls from one direction to another, all these buildings twisting, interconnecting. It has this geography, maybe not geography, architecture perhaps, unlike anything you've ever seen. It's bizarre and foreign. It almost looks like some sort of alien world that you've just stepped into, but you see the pathway that it wraps around it slowly descends down into the city. Looking down, you can see a large city center where there are no buildings, and you can see just drow meandering around, going about their daily lives. But this is a very, very large city by the looks of things.
I'm gonna turn and look as soon as I see the first and the second and the third drow and realize that it's a drow city. I'm gonna turn in kind of amazement and look at Talum with this look like, could she be here?
Taylor's kind of like speechless, just looking at the city. He's never seen anything like that. I don't think he's ever seen a city at all.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Except flying overhead. Ileana,
so
go
many.
ahead and roll me a perception check.
Alrighty.
Look at that shit-eating grin on his face.
I didn't know what I don't know what this is for. I got a 13. However, if it is something that would that my steel defender would know to look out for, I would also have them look for it too. However, if it's something that he doesn't know about, then if it's not like danger, then he won't probably look for it.
He's definitely looking for this. Go ahead and
Okay.
roll with advantage.
They're just at 13. Yep.
Such a mystery.
13. Looking down, you see on what appears to be one of 6 central towers that sort of make up the direct periphery of the courtyard in the center of the city, a large, almost disc-like shape that seems to be channeling energy somehow. You see these different beams of energy all being redirected by this dish. It almost gives you like the idea of like a satellite dish by the look of it. But looking upon it, it immediately sparks something in you, and you flip through your notes where you find something very similar.
I gotta pull out the old paper and I'm gonna pull out a separate piece of paper and I'm going. I'm gonna look at the center of this thing. How does that look, of this whole courtyard satellite dish thing?
So this is just on top of one of the towers. Doesn't seem to be very connected to the courtyard.
Gotcha. Ah.
But you do see, I'll say after a few, seconds, maybe minutes of staring at it, that these beams that it's converging eventually come to a single point and form a ball that crystallizes and falls to the ground.
Well, I think we should get down there post haste and investigate, and we have to go find
Callie.
Callie. We have to go find Callie. Not a moment to waste, and I am now going to pursue in front of everyone with my steel defender by
I'm
my
gonna try
side.
to grab her by the cloak if I can to prevent her from going down there.
No time. No time.
Perhaps we wait. Up here we can see all.
No. We'll never get anything if we don't get in and find something. I'm sure they won't have any issues with us. We're such friendly people.
Do you see how many drow there are down there? Talon can kill many drow, but he cannot kill a whole city. Not even
Says
with
they're going
800
to be
gold.
hostile.
What do you see? I look at everyone. Find this atonement building. See if you can find it. I'm gonna try to see if there's some building where people are being atoned. I don't know, just the most religious looking, maybe a prison or
Roll a religion check.
Big old sign that says atonement room.
atonement here, Callie, welcome Callie. Yeah. Religion check. God, I probably have a negative score in that. Let's see here. That's a 12. It's a
You've
dirty
never
12.
seen a religious building. You have no idea what a religious building looks like, or even what a religion really is.
What is religion, anyways?
You
Do you
grab me
say
and
that out loud?
ask me what religion is. I'm like,
See, religion is
Oh my god. Yes.
Oh, do you
Well,
actually? Was that a real question?
Talon just wants to know where Callie is before we all split up and get killed.
Well,
to
we
find her.
could ask someone where Callie is. Usually, directions are the best way to know where you're going.
are you afraid they'll be aggressive towards us because we're, not drow?
Talon has spent much time on the surface, and he's only ever met one drow before, Callie. I think there is reason drow stay down here, and we stay up there. We will not like it.
Yes. And I am very intrigued to find out that reason.
If you wish to talk, Talon will follow.
I have a certain concoction I've been working on. Makes me look like something else if I specify it. I thought perhaps we need to do some infiltration today, so I concocted some when we woke this morning. Are we wanting to attempt that, perhaps?
How might it make you look?
However I wish it to look. I could look like one of them, or I could look like you.
Huh.
Better to look like one of them than gold.
Yeah, indeed.
2 goals would just be
Thanks.
confusing.
Thanks, buddy. Perhaps our party being led by a drow would be advantageous.
Should we have some sort of story prepared? Like, perhaps you're all my slaves, or my servants, because I'm a wealthy drow adventurer. Look, when I lie to people, it's very in the moment sort of a thing. I don't set out to intend to deceive them. I'm not good at this.
Not many drow, from my experience at least. Perhaps Talon, you have a bit more experience, but I do remember rolling a history check last session, and from what I remember, not many drow tends to venture out from underground. Fewer still decide to be adventurers who would own servants. I mean, maybe they have, maybe culturally they have slaves or something like that. I am not quite sure. My knowledge of it is not quite that great, but from my understanding, it doesn't seem like many drow have the proclivity to become wealthy adventurers.
Are you all making your way descending down as we're having this conversation?
Yeah.
All right. As you get about halfway down, halfway around, you get to what you now realize is the front of the city. You see this elegant archway, double doors that hold as a part of the gate. And basically, there's this outer wall to this city made of the same yellow and purple glowing stone. But looking above that, you see where two of these towers twist together and form this large central building that is shaped in what looks to be a gigantic spider. You see the different legs all form their own towers, and then like the central abdomen of the spider, the thorax, I guess, whatever the word is like a large chamber by the looks of things. But it definitely has the feeling of a quasi-religious building.
I hate you for the fact that I did not think of that first. For like, I'm gonna have to steal that. That's fucking rad. As we sort of around get closer, I'm gonna pull out this purpley looking potion from my pocket. I'm gonna like start adding like different like dyes to it, and then like I'm gonna like put a hair in it. I'm just gonna shake it all up, and I'm gonna cast Disguise Self. And as I do so, I'm gonna chug this potion, and then all of a sudden I just like, and then I become this drow. I'm gonna be a very similar, like tall female, strong sort of build, and then I'm gonna have like white hair that I got up, and kind of subtly dominatrixy looking, you know, like just in case I do need to play off that you guys are like subservient.
Tatum kind of like raises an eyebrow, like,
All right, is everyone ready?
I was born ready.
we're all just like there with our jaws dropped.
Oh, the tease turned into a dirty old man.
I was born ready.
I take it back. I take everything back.
Nice.
I'm gonna walk towards the central city gate underneath that weird gem.
I'll follow.
Okay. Immediately, you hear one of the two guards that you can now make out just barely, or like sort of cut into the stonework here. They have little like slits by which they can speak to you, or potentially you think shoot arrows. And you hear one call out in an undercommon. Does anyone speak undercommon?
You bet your ass I speak undercommon.
Wow.
No, I don't. I speak deep speech. I thought that was undercommon. The whole plan went out the window. First step of the way.
Gonna be an odd drow who does not speak undercommon.
My God.
Shit.
Like suddenly realize you don't speak that language.
And I'm just gonna start panicking.
They are speaking to you.
I know they are speaking to me. I don't.
We're slaves.
Oh, the cheat.
One looks back and then calls out, this time in like broken Elvish. I'm assuming some of you probably understand that one. And he says, "What woman is this? What are you doing here? Why have you come?"
I say back in Elvish. Didn't you hear me the first time? We're slaves.
Do you try and mimic his like broken Elvish, or do you speak perfect Elvish?
I speak perfect Elvish. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not a drow. I'm just Father T.
He like gives like a weird look to you as he's like trying to comprehend what you're saying.
But when I say it, to anyone who speaks Elvish, it sounds like it comes natural to me, but it doesn't sound like it's something I have a lot of practice speaking. It's something that like I definitely learned out of a book. but I have a natural proclivity for saying.
Yeah, but he's definitely like you speak very perfect Elvish, I would imagine. Very proper Elvish. Anyway, he like looks over and like seemingly half understanding what you're saying, says, "You've come to claim a house?" Like looks confused.
Shit. What is he saying?
Is it
You're
something
not-
that I would have picked up on having proficiency in Elvish? The difference between the proper and whatever.
Oh,
maybe
yes,
he's
very
looking out.
much. I mean, it's clear this guy barely speaks Elvish. I mean, he knows what you're saying, but like does not speak the same kind of Elvish.
I'm gonna begin yelling out in deep speech, as that's like I know that I at least know that deep speech and undercommon are the same characters. Like you use undercommon for the characters of deep speech. So I'm just gonna like start screaming deep speech at them, and it's just like this horrible like gurgling nonsense, and I'm gonna hope they understand me.
Does it sound like Gandalf whenever he starts speaking
Yeah.
the language of Mordor?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tell me, Garrick.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it sounds exactly like that.
not the one who had been speaking, but the other one like calls back in deep speech and says, "You're a troll whisperer?"
Yes, of course I am.
Have you forgotten your tongue?
Yes. Why don't you show me where I put it? Guys, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't
Like
know
looks
what's
over the
going
other one and says,
We're gonna die. Salem like looks at Goal like we're gonna die. Like he like looks at like
he says in deep speech, "Outside females are not allowed." The rest of you are
Gonna say Golden Rinse background
on.
saying,
What do you mean? Females aren't allowed in there. I'm not an outsider. I'm from here.
the other one looks over and says something in undercommon. They like have a brief conversation. And then they just like look at you and one of them starts laughing a bit and says in Elvish this time, "You not from here."
I I don't know what you said. I don't speak Elvish.
He. What do you mean he's not from here? She is from here.
Are you
Okay, that's what
speaking
she
in
told
Elvish?
us. I don't know what's going on. She doesn't seem to speak the language. It might have been because of the curse that placed on us, which caused her to forget the languages. But we're working on that. We're working on getting, her memories back and everything. But for the moment, take us to the slave quarters.
He just looks over and he says once again in a language you don't understand, I suppose. He says in Elvish, "Your slaves, they talk too much."
I'm gonna look over at my slaves to interpret.
Do you not speak Elvish?
No, I thought I
Well, then
forgot.
why did we pick you to be the drow if you don't speak
Because-
any of the languages?
Because I could do the disguise. What did he say? Hurry up. You're my slave.
Can you not do the
remember?
disguise? He said your slaves speak too much. That's what he said.
I'm gonna turn to them in deep speech and I'm gonna go, yes. We're working on it. Could we please get in? We have a meeting about slaves and about the ability to speak Elvish, of which I am lacking.
Roll
I
a
don't-
deception check.
I don't speak deep speech, so it just sounds like he's just saying,
No idea.
So I don't
No.
think he's responding to their questions. So I'm just gonna turn around and say in Elvish, "We're working on it."
Oh boy, we got an 8 on that one.
No, of course not, he says in Elvish.
But
We're not working on it. We
Did he-
are
did he
very much
say
working
yes?
on it.
hey,
I am
look,
putting my finest slave abilities to work remedying this man. Abilities that I bet could be very useful to your hive.
Does your master speak any language that is Normal?
Not since the witch.
Come back when he can.
Logan, would I have picked up any undercommon in my time with Callie?
Probably not. I mean, she probably wouldn't be just speaking undercommon for fun.
Right.
He, this is clearly a she. Just not.
Go away.
What do
I'm
we
gonna step-
do?
I'm
They're not
step
going to let us
forward.
in, guys. Somehow they saw through our deceptions. I don't know
Calliness.
how it's possible.
We are here for Calliness.
We are
She-
here for Calliness. I relay.
The two of them like look toward one another.
She is facing atonement.
She is facing atonement.
Hmm. They sort of like ponder the elvish word for atonement for a second, and then the one says to another, like the other in undercommon, what the word means, and one's like, oh. And then looking back out, they say, well, then wouldn't your master want her to finish her atonement?
Wouldn't our master like her to finish her atonement?
Yes.
What happens to her when her atonement is done?
What happens to her when her atonement is done? Can I ask you that?
They like look at each other like it looks like they don't know, and the one guy says, "This is not our business."
It's not their business. But it is our business.
Tell them we wish to see her atonement as it is completed.
We wish to see her atonement as it is completed.
You are men.
I'm half elven. Thank you.
Well, okay. He uses the word male.
Male.
I'm a woman.
She's a woman.
It is your master who wants to see?
Yes. She would also like a guided tour of the city.
Did I not say outside women are not allowed?
Well, outside women aren't allowed, men aren't allowed. Really, who is allowed?
You could come into the city, but not the atonement.
Okay, that's a start.
But she cannot.
I'm sorry, but you can't. It's everyone but you.
Wait, is it me?
No, it's not you. It's not
I'm
you.
so confused from when you transitioned to Elvish to Common. I missed that part.
It's hard. It's hard because this
I
conversation has
can't-
been
I
happening
can't come
in
in.
3 different languages. You are not allowed in. You are an outside woman. If you
Why?
were a man, you could come in. It really is a man's world in there.
I really overthought this whole thing, didn't I? Fine. Fine! And I'm gonna say in common because they can't, whatever. No, fine! I'm out of here! Guys, I'll be back. I'll be back up there. When you're done, come find me. Oh, take Mac with you. And I'm gonna give him Mac, which is what I refer to as my steel defender.
I'm gonna point at the steel defender and say, "Man," in Elvish.
No? Okay. They like look totally confused. And then they say, so your master is allowing you to go without her?
We're very trustworthy slaves.
Sounds like you'll be someone else's slave soon.
We'll see.
Okay. Tell your master to leave.
How do I say this in a way that's vaguely slavely? You need to leave.
Should I feign being upset so as if to act like
That might work. That might work.
you son of a bit, and I'll, I'll poke him in the chest. I'm like, and I'm gonna be like talking in common, and I'm gonna be like, I'm pretending like I'm yelling at you right now, but actually I'm just saying to get in there, look around, and tell me everything that you see, and come back, and I'll be right back here. And then I'll leave, and I'll walk back up the big old path.
She's fine with it.
So you are gifts.
Are we gifts, guys? Does anyone else speak Elvish that wants to take the reins here? I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job,
I
but if
speak
anyone else wants to,
Common and Tabaxi.
I'm hanging back playing stupid.
So we can go in, and I start like heading in.
I'm gonna go in as well. The gates are open.
Sure. And he like steps forward like with some chains, like ready to chain you up.
I go-
I'm gonna like draw a dagger and like spin it in my hand. And
Oh,
just hold it.
I'm sorry, we're free range slaves.
We are here to see Kali. Atonement.
Uh,
Now.
I don't think they'll let us in if you say that. I think step one's getting into the city.
Do you want us to get someone who speaks the normal language you all do?
No.
Tell your friends that once you are slaves in Menzoberranzan, you do not leave.
Okay, so it turns out once we're slaves, we cannot leave.
So we're not slaves.
Thoughts? We are no longer slaves. Our master actually, you saw the argument, she freed us.
How many guards are nearby? Is it
Well,
just
you
these
just
two?
see these two, but like you haven't opened the gate yet, so you don't know
Right.
what's inside. But it's
Right.
just these two, like at the gate, like looking totally dumbfounded by this experience.
We are free men, and we wish to see the city as men.
No, of course not. Like he looks like totally confused. What do you think our gate is for?
Dalem thinks we should leave. Find another way in. Maybe sneak in. A weak point. Every city has one. I think.
This is true. Every great defense has a weakness.
Perhaps where they. Dalem does not know. He has never seen city. Goal, what do you think? Perhaps we can sneak in.
I'm all about doing whatever doesn't get us killed.
I mean, these drow don't seem like openly hostile, but they just seem like they're not going to allow you to like just go through their city and do whatever you want, for sure.
Could we trade you to get access to the city? Is that something you're interested in? I pull out the purple spiked kobold staff I took. This could be yours.
You would not be trading us. We are men.
You're men? I thought you were women.
No, we're men.
But we are men too, and man to man. I'd like to make a trade.
He like looks a bit confused and like looks over at his friend. His friend says in Elvish, "Men here cannot own things."
That seems wrong. Have you never had the desire to own something?
I'm not sure. And looks over the other guy that is like looking really confused at this moment. I think you should leave.
Alright, they're not going for it. I tried my best.
Did we kill them?
We can't kill them, they're just innocent men.
Then we find another way in. And I turn and like go back up the hill.
Okay. Go up like this wooden platform that circles the city.
Do I see them coming up?
Yep.
So what's the verdict? I'll drop my disguise, by the way.
There must be another way into the city. They won't let us in willingly.
Do any of you have any ideas?
I'd like to, well, how much of the city can you even see if you don't have dark vision? Like nothing at all?
The city is glowing slightly, like all the stone glows a bit, so you can see like the outline of all the buildings and stuff.
Is there a wall
Yeah.
around the whole city?
Yes.
It's just like a big circle or, whatever shape it may take.
It's like roughly circular.
Is it, so you mentioned a bridge. Is there any like mountainous landscape that is over the city, even though it's, very large, if that makes sense?
Basically, the entire city is in this huge cavern. And then in this cavern, there's also this like walkway around that like leads down to the city.
Okay,
Yeah, like when you came in, you immediately started walking down this, wooden pathway.
yeah. So we can see the whole top of the city just by looking down from the, okay.
Yeah.
Just to paint a better picture.
Yeah, like when you started walking, you were higher than the whole city.
And that walkway we took down wraps around the entirety of the city.
Yes,
I see.
several times.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So there's no way that like, okay. I was gonna say, there's no point where like water reaches the wall and then goes like underneath the wall or anything like that.
Looking around, you don't see any water sources heading into the city. No.
There's no like low points that we can see in the wall because it's all just one big circle that goes.
It's pretty much just one big circle.
Boys, if we're struggling for any sort of idea in, I have a way for us to enter. It won't be as bad as the disguise this time, I promise. But if you don't want to hear it and you want to go in your way, we can. However, I also I have an idea on how to do things my way. Are we open to suggestions? Are any of you scared of heights?
I actually do have it written down on my character sheet that I am scared of heights. Yes. I have a rather large fear of heights.
Well, theoretically, if we were to stand at a very, very high point above the city and jump off the ledge, I have an invention in which we could float down non-lethally and land amongst the city.
And Ileana, have you thought of this plan at all?
Have I thought of this plan? Well, I thought of the plan. Have I thought about the repercussions of said plan? I have not.
Think about it.
I figured we could stealth or attempt to, maybe.
Is that before or after we get shot down by the wall sentinels?
I was just offering my 2 cents.
Do we have a solution to the wall sentinels? I look around and I raise my arms.
Aiken is the solution to the wall sentinels. Like, I look at the bow that you're holding.
Good idea.
A grand idea, but while this may be a long bow, it is not enough to kill more than 3 men in less than 10 seconds, 12 seconds. I don't know how many guard they have on the wall.
And they are all innocent men, prisoners of the system.
Yeah, you don't see any, people walking around the wall, but you did see those two sort of inside the wall you were talking to.
Well, it's unfortunate, but in a situation where it's us or them, We have to get in and save Callie.
So is there a city outside of the wall?
No.
Isn't this okay? Okay.
You were to follow the gate that we were at, just along, like, so we saw a gate, right? Does that lead along a wall at all, or is that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The outer wall of the city.
I can come up with something, but won't be efficient and it'll take, I look around the city, 3 hours to survey, 2.5 maybe if I have another.
What is it? Speak.
Just survey the outer walls. Come up if they have a sewage system. There's of course any simple cracks or breaks in their wooden structure, that too. It'll just take time, of which we don't have.
Taylor agrees. There must be weak point in wall. Perhaps we can find it. I'm gonna like look on that wall. Like basically, if I were to follow the gate with my eyes along that wall, if there's any other way in, if it's just completely like sheer, perfect wall. And are there guards on the wall as well throughout?
You don't see any guards on the wall, but you do see these two at like the front gate that are sort of like inside the wall, and you do see other places inside the wall where there are like these slits of holes where like guards could be stationed, but you can't really see. Go ahead and roll an investigation check.
8.
8. You don't see any, notable gaps in their defenses.
I like the aerial idea. Don't get me wrong. However, it's not plausible without a reasonable distraction. I
And we
assume
can
that these
provide a
guys,
distraction.
Perhaps I could be the distraction, and you guys could let me in after you've hopefully not fallen to your deaths from a high fall.
Liana, can you blow anything up?
That's debatable. Do I know the intensity of a alchemist's fire? Oh, sorry. Logan, do I know the intensity of like an alchemist fire
Oh, I
thing?
mean, if you throw it on something flammable, I mean, it'll catch the thing on fire. If you just throw it, it's like a large fire bomb, like a Molotov cocktail. Well, you think it would be definitely distracting.
But not enough to, I mean, blow a hole into this wall.
That's
It could, but you're not sure. You don't really know what this wall's made out of.
yeah. I'm not, don't get me confused, Ileana. I'm not trying to blow a hole in structure and then run through it as escapees. Rather, I don't know, just catch something flammable on fire in the front gate. These men haven't seen any combat in forever, I assume. Every single person will most likely abandon not all of their posts, but the majority if they get the promise of a firefight. And that's when we slip right in.
And Father T is very good at talking and stalling for long amounts of time, as we all just saw.
Well, I like Father T. I don't want him to get killed by Nancy Drow, so I'd assume that we'd have to rig this explosive or fire, whatever you called it, far
I
away
could-
from any of us.
I could also just tell them there are a bunch of kobolds coming, and then they would to like kill them, and then they would probably all come running this way to defend against the kobolds, and then you could jump in, and then there would be no kobolds, and you could let me in another way.
Perhaps. Have we considered that Callie needs to be saved?
Or I could just let myself in as a slave, and then you could come rescue me from the slave pens.
I don't know if that would be that easy. but it's a thought. The way they word it, what do they call it? Atonement?
Yes.
It seems as though that it's like a grand prize, something that they're prideful of.
Hmm.
What is your plan, Liliana? Show us the device, your thing you have.
Mac, and he's gonna waddle over and open his own chest cavity with his hand. I'm gonna pull out what's basically like these rings attached to a gauntlet with this chain. And I'm gonna say, if we all stand in a relatively close area as we jump, it will activate the feature of this gauntlet, which will provide an air cushion underneath of us, causing us to float at about 10 feet per second. However, it is pretty quick. However, when we land, we will take absolutely no harm onto ourselves.
Talum thinks we should try, but if we die, I'm going to kill you.
That's fine by me, big guy. Perhaps, Talum, when you're attempting to land, you could head towards the building that you think is most likely to be this atonement chamber.
Did you say we saw the spider building that you thought looked? Yeah, that's the one.
I would go to one of those,
Will do.
one of the towers that make up the spider building. Or if you can land on the spider building, all the better.
Are we all going to be? We're going to have to be grouped together when we land, right? Like a big parachute for all of us.
We have to be within 60 feet.
That's pretty widespread.
Or you guys have to be within 60 feet of me. So we could form like a pentagon. Or
Yep.
I guess it would be, since there's not 5 of us, it would be 4, 3. So we could form a triangle with me in the middle. You guys, we could all spread out if you wanted. Not
should
saying
do-
that's the plan. I'm just saying you guys have room to sort of fall on your own.
We should be as discreet as possible. I don't know if that means a tighter cluster would be better, but and we should have Father T do the distracting, I guess, and let's do it. Let's execute the plan.
All right. So are you giving him the alchemist fire?
Are you going to start something on fire? Or are you going to do the whole kobold thing?
Well, I figure the kobold thing would probably be more well received than blowing something up.
Probably.
I'll hand you a very volatile little beaker of this like weird flammable napalm chemical. I'll be like, but if that doesn't work, use this.
My hand trembles a little bit as you put it in. Will do. I slowly tuck it safely into my backpack. Not my backpack. I'm gonna clip it on my belt. I don't want it near my book.
Mac, you should go accompany the old father in case he needs any backup. My little steel defender is gonna give a little wave to all of you guys, and he's gonna like waddle over to Father T. And he's gonna look it up at you, and like his one central eye sort of like zooms in and glints off as he's like a little puppy.
Yeah, as like we're having this exchange with Father T, I'm strapping Proteus onto my chest.
Okay. Yeah.
With one of those fuck, I don't know what they're called, the little baby things. They like dog strapped to chest. That's great.
I was thinking more like straight across rather than like his face in my mouth. Or like, but I like the baby carrier.
Okay. I'll say that you can easily strap Proteus to yourself if you'd like to.
I would.
Does anyone else picture Claptrap for Garrick's?
Oh God,
Robot.
I did not, but I might.
Similar
start.
vibe.
Kind of like that guy, right?
It's this little guy right here.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right. Is everyone ready for takeoff? Father T will give you a head start to go cause that distraction.
Yes, a head start. And I very slowly hobble off. But I make it.
As you walk, Mac, the steel defender, will like walk in front of you because he's even faster than like a regular person. Like he's faster than me. He'll walk in front of you and like wait as you very slowly catch up to him, and then I'll like walk another 10 feet forward and sit back and wait for you.
Okay, so Father T, you're making your way back up to the front gates again. Okay, you see the same guys like staring back at you, like
Quickly, rally all the guards. Kobolds, they killed my master and all the rest of the slaves. That's why they're not with me. They're dead because of the kobolds.
roll a persuasion check.
Forgot my dice. 13 plus.
The first time you've rolled all night?
Yes.
Holy crap.
13 plus 4,
Good will.
17. We've been doing a lot of RPA.
Sure. 17. They kind of like give you once over, and then one says, "And you escaped?"
It was hard, but being the chief honcho slave, I got a head start while the rest of them perished, protecting me.
What did these kobolds look like?
Scaly. They were carrying around an egg on a shrine.
How many were there?
20.
Thank you for telling us. And one of them like disappears.
Are you gonna go and get them? You can ambush them now.
You see the gates slide open, revealing what looked to be 3 men all riding atop of different like spider-like creations. 2 of them looking like almost a conglomeration of a horse and a spider, and the third one being basically this mixture between a spider and a drake that just like takes off into the air, hovering. And these 3 all like take off, and behind them you see 4 of these drow archers. One of them you recognize as the guard that you had been talking to, all like following suit. It looks like they're trying to like stealthily approach, like scout the area.
But wait. I remembered a clearer picture of these kobolds. They didn't look like the normal kobolds that live around here. They looked more like what is the not the scalebeards, the
Raiders.
the raiders. Yes, the raiders. They look like raiders.
Dragon-tooth raiders?
Yes. And they said something about burning down this city.
City.
They have a war machine, apparently.
A war machine.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you hear as one of them steps back, you start to hear this of an alarm going off in the city, and all of a sudden you see all of the drow start like moving and shaking, and people like looking around confused. Everyone seems to be like asking, I mean, most of it's in undercommons, you don't really understand it, but it looks like everyone's like asking like what's going on, what do I need to do? And all of a sudden you see all these guards like getting into position, telling people like get back in their houses, get back where they were, like hunker down. All of a sudden when there's a war machine mentioned, everyone starts taking this seriously, and everyone starts like freaking out.
Perhaps to gain the advantage, you should team up with the scale. What do you call them?
Scalebeards?
Scalebeards. Yes, you should team up and take out these other kobolds together, because they could cause real trouble for both of your tribes.
The one looks back and says, if they have the egg, the Scalebeards are already dead.
It didn't look like the egg. It looked like a different egg. Still dragon.
Oh.
Also, I'd like to surrender myself as a slave. I put my hands out.
Perfect timing. And they just like throw an axe in your hands.
Oh my god.
What?
You're a slave. You'll be perfect to the front lines.
I really think I would be of more use inside the city. I'm like
You
last line
don't
of
speak
defense.
our language. You seem old and feeble. What would be you useful for?
You're a man.
I can see why you would think that.
Never underestimate Father T. He's probably in the city walls now. Probably at the gates of the atonement with Callie in his line of sight currently.
All right, well, we'll cut there. The rest of you, are you, after you hear this alarm go up, are you taking off?
I think so. Like, let's do it.
Goes off. As the alarm goes off, badass music in the background kicks in. Secure the goggles to my head. All right, everybody. Thank you for choosing Ileana for today's travel. Everybody, make sure you don't catch anything in your mouth or your eyes on the way down. And stay close, within 60 feet. And I'm gonna look, I'm gonna get ready to jump, and then I'm gonna look around to everybody, like queuing them up.
So we're supposed to like run and jump into the city, just jump.
And we'll skydive down, dude.
All right.
Do you cast it before you jump or as you're in the air?
I can use it as a reaction.
Yes.
And how far down do I think this drop is?
Depends how far you walk up the wooden thing. I mean, how far up do you guys want to be? You could be like miles over the city if you want to.
I want to be up pretty far, maybe a half a mile up. So we have
Okay.
like,
Yeah,
just
so
a
you're
room
like, you're
to-
most of the way up this platform here.
we can fall 3,600 feet before the spell runs out.
Okay, so yeah, but that's going to take a really long time, right?
1 minute. I
1
move 60 feet per round.
minute. Okay, so not too bad then. Sounds good. You guys are prepped. Do you all jump? Do you all make sure to jump in unison as best you can, trying to like all stay within range here?
I look at Ileana in kind of puzzlement for a second, and then I grab a hold of whatever she's got on her shoulder, whether it's a pad or armor or whatever, and I jump almost before her in trust.
Okay. How far do you guys fall before you cast the spell?
I will wait until so as we run and jump, we sort of like move horizontally first. And as soon as we start to like dip to like where we start falling into the city, I'll then just like crank this gauntlet to the side, and I'll just, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, like a jetpack. Like it's just like this huge bubble of force begins like whipping around us. Our hair is like going up crazy. It's like we're falling skydiving, but like at a decreased rate as there's
Yes.
an air pocket beneath us.
You begin.
Right when I grab her shoulder, I'm gonna reach my other hand out for Talum. Talum.
Same.
You all begin descending down into Menzo Baranza, and while the place is a madhouse, meanwhile outside, Father T.
Yes, thank you for the gift of this axe. I will use it well in our conquest against the Scalebeards. Lead the way, fellow slaves.
Nice.
They just start like heading
There
that
goes
direction.
Joel and Talum.
You see,
Yeah.
you see in the center, they have this sort of like brigade forming, where they have a variety of different drow, like all armed to the teeth, all with their sort of own like designer elvish style weapons. Some of them with some crueler stuff, like you see some like large like flails and maces. And you actually see two of the drow come pulling what looked to be some sort of ogre or trolls that they sort of like pull into like the leading way. That they're like 4 drow per, like pulling them forward, these sort of, you know, giant monsters that they seem to use in combat as well. And then looking toward the back of these like ranks, you see a single woman, the first female drow that you've seen as part of this ensemble, step forward, and she is a drider herself and appears to be barking orders in a language you do not understand toward the rest of these warriors. You're muted.
I'm gonna fall in line where I think I should go and just turn to someone next to me. Is this your first defense against kobolds? It's my first defense against kobolds.
The person next to you looks over and in like really, really poor Elvish, she says, "They not so bold usually, killing them mostly in their own home. They are easy to kill, weak."
Well, these are different kobolds. These aren't the kobolds that you're at war with. These are
What?
These are third-party kobolds.
What? Are they stronger?
Yes,
Oh,
and they
they're
have a
attacking
war
us?
machine.
Understood. I'll keep vigilant.
Do you think after we kill these kobolds, we'll get to go back in the city?
Of course.
Cool. Let's go.
All right. As the rest of you
Playing
are
the long con.
slowly descending, you see a verifiable army spring from the gates of Menzo Baranzan in the matter of seconds. It seems like this is not their first rodeo with getting people ready to fight. And it's like even as this like initial brigade starts making their way out, other drow are like falling in line, arming themselves, putting armor on, like working as a well-oiled machine, for lack of a better term, as they all get ready for what could be quite the battle by the looks of things. Meanwhile, you guys begin descending down. Go ahead and roll stealth checks to see if anyone is able to notice you.
Natural 20.
It's huge.
Did I mention this invention comes with a cloaking device?
Got a dirty 22.
Dirty 20.
I got a dirty 22. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a very
21.
dirty 20. 21.
Come on, Aiken. Come on, Aiken. Bring her home.
Talon thinks about like shouting, but he like points to the spider building as we're like.
30-20.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Dude,
with the
Navy
chaos
SEALs right
going
now.
on, yeah,
Straight ceiling right now.
SEAL Team 6. You all just land precisely on top of this spider building, and you get the full effect of it from the top. You see these legs sprawling in each direction, and the different sight lines forming the many eyes in front of what you can now see as some sort of chamber of worship. You kind of like lean over and you can see these large sight lines that lead off into the city below. But you see inside this sort of like wickedness that is the cult of Lolth. You see inside a number of women sort of half formed into driders with spider legs erupting from their chests. Some look like they're in dire pain. Others look like they may be dead from the experience. Meanwhile, you see several driders walking from one to another, whipping them as they undergo this process, chanting in a language that none of you understand. But it is clear that if there was a place for atonement, this would be it.
Any sign of Callie?
A little perception check.
As I'm falling,
Mhm.
I actually want to kick away from the group.
Yep.
And I'm gonna try to head towards the big disc on the pillar.
Okay. I mean, that will definitely take you outside of 60 feet away from them.
Shit, well, I don't want to murder them.
You would be murdering them.
Could I get 60 feet away from them towards the pillar?
Yeah, of course, but that's still on the spider. I mean, it's a building, like 60 feet, you're still
Okay.
definitely on the spider.
As we all like land on it, and I'm gonna back out. I'm gonna be like, and I'm like gonna drop the sort of like joking, sort of like sarcastic persona that I usually have, and I'm gonna be very genuine with you all. And I go, I'm sorry, guys. I got things I need to figure out too. And I'm gonna take off, and I'm gonna try to go find. I'm gonna
Wait.
go run towards the center of town.
This was not a part of the operation. I like get a bow and arrow ready.
I'm just gonna like lean back in and see if I can see Callie. And I rolled a natural 20 to do so.
Of course you did.
SEAL Team 6.
Yeah, -1. Thanks a lot, Garrick.
You see
I guess we weren't even
Deep in the center of this chamber, there's this pit. And in that pit, there are a number of spiders crawling around. And in this web of intertangled legs and bodies of spiders of all sizes, you see some small ones, some larger, some almost the size of your head, crawling around. You can barely make out some dark purple flesh. It kind of fades into black. Squinting through the darkness, you make out the body of Callie being held by chains in this position, her mouth being held open as spiders crawl in and out. You see several cuts across her body that spiders are kind of cutting into and forming silk webs through. As you can only imagine, this is some sort of horrendous torture set to atone for her sins, whatever those may be.
How thick are the chains? Even though I guess I wasn't the one who did the check.
Yeah, you wouldn't know, but they don't look to be overly thick, just thick enough to hold her in place, maybe a few inches.
And how deep is that hole that she's in? You said she's in like a hole, right?
It's like a pit, but
Yeah.
it's not like a deep hole. You know, it just kind of like it's like this
Yeah.
pit where it looks like a place where the spiders are. You know, like they're like little tunnels
Gotcha.
that lead into it where all these spiders are intermingling, but they don't seem to be going out into the rest of the worship chamber.
And how many driders are in it? Like if I were to just like superhero land in that room, how many enemies would be like, what the, you know what I mean? Like how many?
Yeah,
Photos
looking
would be
around,
great.
you count 4 driders with whips moving around and something like 15 women currently undergoing the process of becoming a drider. You can see that this process, by the way, is relatively quick. As you're watching, like another leg will sprout. Like it looks like you came on a very special day.
We need
Like
either
maybe
need
she
move
wants
you
to
now.
be this.
To be clear, Callie not undergoing this process, undergoing a different torment.
I look to Talum as I'm like knotting hempen rope to my arrow, ready to work.
Do we go now, or do we wait till those driders leave? I've never faced a drider
Well,
before,
it's-
but
seems
don't know.
pretty urgent, and I can get her out pretty fast.
let us do it.
And I shoot an arrow into the pit with all the spiders, and I pull out my war pick in one hand, and I pull out a torch held in the same hand, and I snap the goggles on, and I descend on the rope.
How far is the drop into that room?
Not too far, 20 feet.
Okay.
Okay.
We go quiet first, loud when we need to, and I'm gonna follow him in if I can.
Okay. You're trying to be stealthy, Aiken, or are you just sliding in?
I was under the impression that I was sliding in, ready to operate.
Yeah, either way, it's cool.
I
Third,
looked- I say, "Goal, keep him off us." This isn't like I'm sliding down.
Okay. So,
So
Aiken, you're sliding. Talum, are you sliding?
I think I'm going down. If Aiken goes in there, I am not gonna hesitate. I'm gonna go down and grab her as quick as I can.
And goal?
yeah, I was gonna say if Talum hesitates at all, I'm going right after Aiken. But if not, then I'll go after Talum.
no, stay up as I'm like sliding down.
The 3 of you all slide into this room. Go ahead and roll dexterity saving throws so you make your way in.
I guess I will note then that I will tie pittance, or I would have tied pittance, so we can keep the rope there.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, if we don't have someone pulling up. And the luck runs dry.
Oh, same for Dan.
9. I got a 9.
All right, you got a 9.
I got a
Goal,
12.
you got a natural 1. Okay, so what sounded good in theory didn't work out quite so well. As Aiken, you slide down, kind of collapsing as you hit the ground, suffering 8 points of bludgeoning damage. Meanwhile, Talum, you pretty much immediately lose your balance as you try and slide in, suffering Just 4 points of bludgeoning damage. And then Goal, as you slide in, you grab the rope, tear it from the pit in here, releasing it and having it fall with you to the ground, and you suffer 5 points of bludgeoning damage as you all collide with the ground here. You see the spiders skitter away and leaving Callie to like cough up a couple that were in her mouth. Looking around, you can now see that she's like strapped to what is basically a rack that's like slowly pulling and like stretching her limbs from her. You can see some of the skin being stretched as her muscles seem flexed to their limits. All 4 of the drivers immediately like click over to your entrance here, seeming to have noticed you and interested to see what you are up to. Meanwhile, several of the other women you hear like shouting and screaming as they're undergoing this process. I need you all to roll initiative, please.
What exactly is pulling Callie apart? Is she being pulled by chains or leather or
Chains.
rope? Okay.
The one with the
It's
punches.
about fucking time. Natural 20.
Hey, there you go. Aiken.
14.
14 for Aiken. Taylor.
I got a 19.
Nice.
And how is Callie attached to this machine?
Just by the chains.
Okay.
They're just wrapped around her like hands and feet, right? It's not like piercing her body at all.
Just wrapped, yeah.
Okay.
All right, Goal. You're first up with your natural 20s. You hit the ground here. You see all these driders like look and hold up their whips at you as you land amongst them.
Okay, tell me how many driders, and if I'm looking straight ahead of Callie, where are the driders at?
The driders are all sort of like interspaced around the room. There are 4 total. All of them are sort of on the periphery, as all these women who are undergoing this transformation are out there as well. And they're sort of like coercing it along, it seems, by whipping them and chanting. Whereas Callie's in the very center of the room. You're maybe 20 feet from Callie.
Talum, save Callie. I'm going to go to the nearest strider and attack.
Okay. Running up toward this strider, go ahead and roll for, is this a sword attack?
Yeah, I'm going to do a sword attack first. I'm going to follow it up with a kick.
Mhm.
Sorry, let me regain my. So that's 24 to hit for the sword attack.
Yeah, 24 definitely hits.
That is 6 points of damage from the gem sword.
Mhm.
And then it would be the same. So dirty 20 for the back spinning kick to the face.
That hits.
That'll be 5 points of damage to the face.
All right. You have never been in the presence of a creature quite like this. You get a big stab with your sword, and it's like stabbing into a tree or a sheet of metal. It is like you're hardly damaging these creatures when you hit them. You feel at best that you might be distracting them. Your wounds barely touch the core of the creature. It seems like it's barely perturbed.
So I hack it. I'm like, and I'm kind of surprised, and then I complete my move and spin around and kick it with my heel, and it almost hurts my heel when I kick it. I'm like, kind of discouraged by what I've done.
Yes, Talum, your turn.
I'm gonna run over to Callie, and
Okay.
I'm going to just take my axe and just try to like chop the chains, basically just cut the chains off if I can.
Go ahead and roll for an attack.
Okay. God bless America. It's a 8 to hit.
An
The
8.
chain.
An 8 does not hit as Callie like riles around. Seems like she's preventing you from quite landing the perfect blow. I mean, it kind of like clanks off the chain, but you don't do any significant damage. Anything as a bonus action?
I think I'm gonna go into a frenzy and use my bonus action to attack again the chain.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do that.
Wait, do you have to be in a rage to go into a frenzied rage?
Yeah, okay, that's what I should have said. So yeah, rage. Oh shit, you're right. You have to like maintain the rage, don't you?
So once you start a rage, you have to maintain it by attacking or being attacked.
Okay. Well,
But you're not in a rage at all right now, right?
Correct. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I'm thinking frenzy probably dies off if your rage dies off. So I probably have to take damage or attack something, right?
Yeah.
To keep it going. Okay. In that case, yeah, I'm just gonna like try to, if I can pull the chains or anything, or look for a mechanism or any way to unlock it. I realize I just did an attack, so it's probably like a significant portion of my turn. So
I'll say that you're able to like look around a little bit, and looking at these chains, you see that they are controlled by like there's a lock on that, like they all converge to.
okay. But hold still, Callie. It is Taylor. I am here.
Meanwhile, the Drider that you hit goal just like looks down at you, takes her whip, and like kind of like leans in, sort of like puts the whip and like flicks it across your chin. You like feel it slightly cut you, and she says, I guess in undercommon, so you don't understand it, and then whips you.
Maybe we should stay. Or not.
That's a 22 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Okay. And you take 6 points of piercing or slashing damage. She just slices across your
God.
face. Meanwhile,
My lip eats, and I kind of stick my tongue out and touch the blood, and I look at her with this intense face.
Meanwhile, another of the Drider began like slowly skittering up towards you, Taylum, and she just sort of like looks you up and down, takes the whip, tries to swing it out towards you, and tries to wrap it around your leg. Roll a strength to strength.
Is this whip like spiked?
Yeah,
Or
it looks
is
like
it
there's some
just-
barbs on it.
Follow-up question. Is it metal or is it like leather just with the barbs?
It has like studs, like metal studs on it, but it is leather.
18.
Okay.
18. Okay, so you're able to like pull yourself out of the grip of this whip, luckily. Aiken, your turn.
Is the whip still on the ground after like he pulls himself out?
Yeah, he like steps out of it.
Okay. Another question. Is igniting a torch an action or a bonus?
Sure, I'll say you can do his bonus.
Okay, in which case I would like to, light it and then throw it in the middle just to see how they react to like burning light. And then I would like to use my war pick, of which I had, and try to snap her whip with the razor side.
Okay. As you throw this torch, you can see that they all kind of like shield their eyes from it, but it doesn't seem overly hampering to them. Go ahead and roll for that attack on her whip.
That was awful. 11.
11. Okay, swinging out, you are not able to connect with the whip as she quickly like retracts it.
Okay.
Anything's a bonus action, Aiken. Oh, I suppose the torch would have
Yeah. Is like looking at stuff
been. You can look
considered
at
like
stuff.
I think I'd like, huh?
The door to escape.
Oh, where's the door at, Logan?
So from where you are, you can see like the various eyes of the spider form like these holes in the wall. Some of them are low enough to where you think you could potentially like, jump into them or climb into them. But other than that, there are two sets of doors. One that goes like down into the spider, and one that opens up into another room of the actual main spider body. It looks like.
Okay.
Both
I'd like Proteus to try to bite the whip and see if
Okay.
he could not. Forget what his stat is. I think it's just a +3 for a bite. It's not written down, which is weird. Yeah, we'll just say that 13.
13. He like bites out, but once again, the whip is retracted too quickly. At which point, the other two Drider are both going to step up, one towards you, Aiken, with her whip held at the ready, and she's just going to try and like whip you across the arm. It's only 7 to hit, so I assume it's not going to hit you. The other one, however, is going to. The other one's going to just like walk up towards where Callie is and bring her whip like up into the air and then just like lay it down on Callie's shoulder. And you see her whip like start like digging in, like moving of its own accord and digging into Callie. And you see Callie's eyes like shoot open as she screams in pain. And she's going to make eye contact with Talum and say in common this time, "So she is the one that you want, huh?"
That's what the Drider says.
To you, yeah.
Okay. She's the one I will take.
But her atonement has only just begun. She will be dirtied with sin.
And that is how I know her and like her. She is coming with me.
Zig looks down, at which point you see Callie kind of like for the first time coming to, and she says, "Take your filth," and just tears the whip, and you can see just like rip a portion of Callie's skin out with it. And she just like leans down, unlocks the lock, and like kicks Callie out of the pit.
Yeah, I'll like pick Callie up, and if she's unable to stand on her own, I'll put her over my shoulder and just like ranger carry her out of there.
Okay. Going to the rest of the boys, what are you guys doing in the meantime? Start with Father T on the outskirts.
I swear I saw them around here somewhere.
Amazing.
Perhaps they turned back. Maybe they thought better of their plan.
No, these kobolds were daring. They must have had another secret purpose in coming here, slaughtering my friends and then disappearing.
War machines are slow. Perhaps they haven't gotten this far. Let's continue on.
I don't know. I didn't see the war machine. They merely informed us that they had the war machine. So maybe it's back in their territory. But maybe it's here. I don't know.
We should err on the side of caution.
Maybe we should go back and check the city for them.
Wait, you think they've gotten past us somehow?
Well, it's the only thing I can think of.
Were they closer than this? Did we pass where they were?
Yes, we did pass where they were. So either they went that way or this way.
Roll a persuasion check.
4, so 8.
Oh my god.
Fine. Half of us will continue on, the other half back to the city.
Might I suggest another half of you go seek help from the scale beards?
Go lay
So half will go back, half will go forward, and half will go to the scale beards.
Roll a persuasion check.
22.
It's not a bad idea. Maybe our alliance still holds some weight if the war machine's not here yet. Fine. You, go to the scale beards. The rest of you, go forward. And the rest of us will go back to the city. Which group do you try and join?
Going back to the city.
Okay.
Turn around. When I turn to the guy next to me again, I'm like, so, tell me about drow culture. I'm very interested. I'm something of an anthropologist.
Looks over. What do you want to know? It's just the way I live now. I'm not sure what to make of it.
I hear that
faithful to Lolth.
that's what I hear. That's what I'm interested in.
Oh, yes. Well, our priestesses, they are sort of a governance to us. There are, of course, the 6 houses.
Of course.
All 6 are governed by the high priestesses. As a man, my roles are very simple. I mostly do as I'm told. Supply what I can for my higher ranks. But yes, of course, say my prayers to Lord daily. Do my sacrifices when I can.
Do members of your culture actually believe that Loth receives these prayers and offerings daily, and that she is still alive and kicking, even though to the rest of the world they've lost faith?
Yes, I of course do. I assume everyone else does as well. We certainly go to all of our prayer services.
So no one down here is even aware of the fact that the gods have not been heard from in thousands of years?
Our god still conducts the transformations. It's transformation day to day, actually.
Where is this transformation taking place?
In the temple, of course. The women who are chosen. You go through a process, a screening, to be proven as a true follower of Loth. And if Loth chooses you as one of her daughters, she transforms you into being more like herself.
Well, this is quite exciting. I'm glad we're in the group heading back in that direction.
Yes, very disrespectful for the kobolds to attack us on such a holy day.
Those dastardly kobolds.
As you make your way back, Ileana, what are you doing?
I I am like familiar with that building as we all landed on and everything. But as soon as I get out of sight, the people who I just did that sick jump with completely leave my mind. I forget about them instantly, and I don't care what is going on, as something else has taken my attention and holy. So I began sprinting towards where I saw this weird satellite array. And I say aloud to myself as I begin sprinting, I go, it's almost over. This has to be it. We can figure this out. And I began frantically like flipping through my notebooks. I take out the sheet of paper that I found on myself, discarded, or one of the sheets of paper I found on myself. And I just began running to it.
Okay.
Nothing else on my mind.
Meanwhile, Goal, back up at the top with you.
Say that again.
Your turn.
They're like neutral now, right?
I mean, they said take your filth and just like a released Callie.
So how does she look?
She looks beat to shit.
That's what I thought. So Taylum is holding her.
Yeah, like stabilizing her.
If
I mean,
I could-
she's like standing, but
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to give her my questionable healing potion.
without thinking, she just immediately chugs it down. Like spits out a couple of chunks at the end. It's definitely not the most pleasant experience, but it does seem to have some therapeutic effect. She like looks over and sort of in sort of a heavily accented common says, I can't believe that you're here, Taylor. What is this a dream?
It is not a very good one. I like look at the Driders. We are leaving. I like shout that to Aiken and go now. And like I'm just gonna like I don't know if can she walk on her own or like
Yeah, she
Okay.
seems calm, especially after taking the healing potion. She seems like she's okay.
I'll head towards like whatever looks like the easiest door to. They're not like openly attacking us, are they?
Looks like they're gonna let you go.
Okay, then I'm gonna try to like go towards the door. Sounds like we won't have to leap out of a window or anything.
As you're like heading that direction, you hear one of the Driders call over your shoulder. Callie, you can run all you like, but your destiny awaits. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, Loth will find you. She will have who's hers. And you are a daughter of Loth. Forget it not. Callie is just like beelining to the door as quickly as possible. Are the rest of you doing the same?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab the torch though.
Okay.
I'm not gonna like wave it around, but I'm just gonna put it out on the wall as I exit and then put it back
Okay.
in my backpack.
Moving along, you see like Callie like rooting through her hair and like pulling out spiders that have been caught in her hair. That's just horrible experience. You can see she's like trying to like clean herself off. It's very not happy for her, but you guys do get to the doorway. And with you guys exiting into the city of Menzoberranzan and Ileana running up to what is apparently a very interesting piece of material for her, and Father T finally making his way back in through the gates, we're going to pick up
No,
there
don't
next
do it.
time.
Don't do it.
Deep into the depths of Menzoberranzan.